Hello, and welcome. It's storming, so, well, hopefully we don't have any issues. But I have something I noticed that I figured I'd just hit record from. So I've been talking about this region, and maybe it would be useful to pull up that amination. Let's get that amination up. Where the ocean current that was flowing through ended up getting closed off by this accretion over here of all this material, just kind of not as one unit, but basically getting accreted on over and over and just compressing and compressing and compressing and pushing closed this current. But when it pushes it closed, it ends up etching what I call a vein. It's very much a vein, like on the arm, like a literal vein, like an artery, not just like an offshoot, like a main artery that goes all the way through here. And it has offshoots like down here, like another vein coming off of it. But it has this main conduit that goes all the way up here, and then it kind of fades here. Like, questionable what happens next. It looks like it continues this way. Over here to about here. But it also looks like, this is my actual interpretation, is that a current went through, maybe it was closed off here, like before this opened. This gap opened. It was closed off, so even though current could go atop it, it couldn't go between the continental crust. So it had to flow atop it. So it's kind of contained up here. If it was contained. I'm thinking it was like swirling here. Something was happening where it was coming basically from over here through this way. Right to here. To this inlet. Possibly also across here. I don't know. But essentially I think it generally connects to the vein. And then the accretions add on top of it. So it comes down through here, and then kind of goes over this way, and joins the currents this way. Maybe there's a wider current even that goes out this way, and then flowed like from here this way, but because pressure was here, it couldn't just like flow out there, so it continued. Because there's a huge ammonite going on over here. So it's just holding pressure by its existence, by the amount of water here that's just pushing outward. So it's holding this boundary, even though there's not truly a boundary here. Encouraging flows to over here. And then it goes down here. Down here, down here, down here, down here. To this point where it then starts to separate as it approaches resistance down here, because there's a current coming up at this largest boundary here, at the center boundary here, and then at a largest boundary over here as well through here, that then fills this region with a pressure that just pushes up at the boundaries. So over here it pushes up, and over here at the boundaries. So it creates this like space where its furthest extent protrudes on both sides and has a like less extent at the middle region. Also possibly related to its bending off of the current, like it goes this way and then it bends at maybe a 120-degree angle. Let's see. If we say like here and just up, just like up, and then over this way to there, 130. Let's see what 120 is. Definitely not 120 there. Only way it's 120 is if it's not straight up, really. 120 would be pretty far over that way, so maybe it's not 120, maybe 135, or neither. It doesn't actually approach one of those. Either way, it holds this boundary over here so that when this current comes in, it runs into it. And so because there's this continent here that has this pressure pushing against it, creating mountains, it can't just like go through the mountains, although it does like at times have exits from this just because of the pressure of it all, probably cutting through the mountains, but not like easily. So it tends to go this way down to here where it enters into the open area. So it reaches through the mountains to the open area here. Okay. And then it creates, there's an eyeball here at Flathead Reservation and Lake that has like a head here and then like a jaw down here. So it's basically this same thing where it's got an eyeball, two jaws, and a body. Eyeball, jaw, body. Okay, so we've talked about that already. I just wanted to give a little recap to also tie into what I'm talking about now. So I have generally, I'm pretty confident that this interpretation is pretty good. The angles where the current flows in here, flows in, and then it collides head on, this head on collision. And then just the way the current redirects, which I talked about in my eye to eye episode 229, I believe. And so, like, I think this is pretty good. Like, there's a current going up that way. It's not coming down this way. So it would be very anomalous to what my interpretation if, like, this sourced a lot of the water. Although maybe it came through here as well. But I really think it, I guess it could have. I think it more so went up this way, though, in the way that I drew it. Oops, that's not it anymore. More so came through over here, creating a stronger side and a weak side. So even if it tried to come through here, it ended up like getting overwhelmed by back currents. Because essentially stuff coming in this way couldn't go anywhere, so it ended up going across around running into the resistance of the Idaho batholith that was being formed possibly by an undercurrent coming across and just pushing material here. So like this undercurrent was present, but then this water comes in and it starts coming across, it runs into the batholith, so it goes around, goes this way, and then it starts to etch through, etching through. And when it does that, it punctures the crust sufficiently that magma upwells. And so the magma upwells opposite to the stream because the stream, as it's moving along, starts to etch more and more. That's my interpretation because it's just got more backing it the further it goes. It's got, like here, it only has this region backing it, but the further it goes, it has all of the pressure behind it, pushing it forward. So it just has more pressure behind it, basically. So it starts to carve into lower terrain, lower elevation, enough to just puncture and cause an upwell that is opposite to the current again. Is opposite. Okay, all of that set up so that now we can talk about this area, just kind of pondering this. Okay, so again, here's the snake head with the eyeball. And I talked about in that episode how there's a eddy that generally goes this boundary over here, down here, around here, over and up. And then cuts across, maybe like up here, although it doesn't look like it has like a distinct cross current. Maybe here, right through here. And then at that point, maybe it just joins the stream more so. Which maybe is why, like, certain steps of the process happen. Okay, so in the other one, though, I noticed, essentially I was calling this region the center. So there's an outer ring and an inner ring, or a nucleus here that forms with a shell that's out here. So it's got an outer and inner one. Mind you, the shell that's out here, if you notice, here's the eyeball, here's the jaw, here's the head. So it's basically from jaw to eyeball, above eyeball to brow, jaw to brow, and then to nose to like neck is the boundary of the circle. Okay, so that's the big circle. I noticed I was like, here's this there's an inner circle around here that then has another circle next to it, and then those two are contained within the larger circle here. So there's almost like a nucleus that has like a two units within it. Almost, it makes me think of a neutron, like a proton, and a proton, electron, and neutron kind of thing. I don't know. Or just like a hydrogen atom in general, a proton, neutron, or proton, electron, like a protium. Just kind of gives me that feel. But anyway, I noticed this lake here. And if you look over here and here, they're kind of near each other, kind of elongated. This one's bigger. But this one is within the circle. So if we kind of think about it in the same way, what if this is an eyeball and then a brow and then the nose and then a jaw, or a jaw here, but maybe here. So basically, again, it happens, and if we look back, it kind of flows between this current up here and this current here. So we have a snake with a mini snake head coming out of its neck. It's like a multiple headed snake that reminds me of the Olmec stone. Not head. Images. Why is it all heads? Let's say Birdman. Maybe a handbag. Stone 21, maybe. I swear that's what it is, though. Something like that. Birdman. Handbag. This one. Yeah, Olmec. But this one, let me just make sure I'm not covering it. Okay. This one has a snake. Let's look at this closer because it's so applicable. Olmec Monument 19. Maybe we can get a bigger picture. There we go. Okay. That's a little big. Okay. So this snakehead has an eyeball, a brow, a nose, a lower jaw, a center line, a neck that's maybe generally close to the head here, and then a body that goes down to a rattlesnake tail. But off of the neck is this other head here. And I think that's like a common thing where there's a current that then releases a secondary current. And I talk about that in other places. The Handbag of the Gods video, I talk about this one specifically. But essentially, let me think if I can reference. Maybe I need this. Oh my god. My feet are so itchy. Holy shit. Essentially, there's a current that comes across this way and then produces North American underplate here when it heat exchanges with a ancient ocean that was atop Canada at the minimum, some of it at least at the minimum, and it heat exchanges with it and creates like this here, but then a secondary current comes out here that has a boundary down the middle, the Appalachians, and this boundary like a snakehead, and then it has like a snakehead here with a little sort of eyeball thing here and an opposite maybe eyeball thing over here, like positive negative or something. And then from there it gushes into what would become this region. So like there's an instance where there's a first like body that produces this and then a secondary one, although it's not going in the same way as this, where one of them, the larger one, goes to the outer ring and the smaller one goes to the inner ring. So this might honestly be highly revealing to something that I'm not picking up on until I'm noticing this. So that was what caught my attention, and some thoughts here. I was thinking that, so basically there's a flood basalt coming in this way, maybe here, coming into here, maybe here. Let's check it out. Okay, it's going through Portland from over here. Okay. There's Portland. So it must be this, or maybe this one. One of these. It came in this way-ish. Filled this region, filled until it got into this current. At which point it basically led to them like resisting one another, resisting, and going up and spiking through this side of the head over here where this system isn't. So there's so much pressure here that the system's not, it's just not going through there, it's going around it. But it leaves over here, brings material of the flood basalt up here, through here. So this is one of the reasons I would say this is highly like researchable, testable, like able to be determined to be true or not. Because I'm fairly certain like it only makes sense that it's swirling counter or clockwise here. which means that it's bringing energy this way and then up this way, up through here. So it's bringing material up this way. Like it's not coming over this way, draining in here. It's actually coming up this way. That's my thoughts. And possibly adjacent to other flows, even of water-based type flows, with a separation between them. And then at some point the magma solidifies and the water starts to etch into it and just follows the path that it has now. Okay, so there's that going on, but then it comes around this way. And now we're at that snakehead. Eyeball here, mouth, nose. So maybe this is kind of like a nostril. The nose, though, the jaw on this side. And then the current, though, goes over this way. And then this current's coming in, running into resistance and just bending this way from the pressure and heat here. So it just bends the current this way up into the mouth. So I'm thinking this current goes like also around it, like a larger boundary maybe. Something's holding this boundary here. But this current goes over this way where it runs into this current coming across. So again, the same thing where they run into one another, which then causes them to spike up this way, as well as probably down through here. So probably related to why this is out as it is, and also reminiscent of the gushing from the mouth of the smaller dragon of this material. In this, it's gushing. And then another dragon, another small dragon is counter to it. I wonder if there's other small dragon counter to it. I don't know. I don't see anything off. Maybe like in the flood basalt though. Something like opposite material too, where it's like cold, icy water, hot magma based. But it brings material up this way, so we can kind of see where the water and the flood basalt interacted and brought material up, and it looks like it brought the flood basalt up and then it brought it over this way. So it basically short circuit is like, okay, this area, this nucleus thing is not for me, and it moved out and it got out of there and it went up this way with this current that was bringing material that way. And maybe when it got to there, a cross current coming across brought some down through here, creating a region like that. Then it runs into these two currents. This one coming this way, although they're probably colliding more so here, going up that way. But it brings the current up that way over there, and it just continues. And maybe it ramps the current, like the water's coming slightly past it, holding some sort of boundary to ramp it up into here, this region, to make it more farmlandable, I guess. Although, yeah, this is all farmland. Right? No. I don't know. Nope. What is going on here? What the? That's not in the land, is it? That would be incredible. That's not in the. That looks like someone mowing. It looks like mowing, but it's all so cool patterned. Wow. What the? Like, how long is this? Measure distance, like there. A mile. Like, what the? What? It's gotta be mowing, though. I mean, these would be. Like, how much is this distance? Measure distance. Like there. 10 feet. 20 feet. I guess so. I wonder if there's another eddy here that goes around this way. Maybe even out here. Another ammonite. I don't think it's pronounced if so. Okay. I forgot my pillow sitting there all red. Okay, okay. So came across this place on Reddit. What is this? What is this? I posted that 9 days ago. Someone liked it. Whoa. Okay, this post though. Danny Manio, who is awesome, posted this. According to science, it's in the area of 45,000 years old in Australia. Incredible, just incredible. Whatever's going on here is quite unlike anything I've ever seen. Apparently, though, this place has been occupied for a long time. The entire, like, until even recently, there's paintings, but some of them date, like, they're overlaid. So, new paintings on top of old paintings, but some of the old paintings date to, like, 45,000 years ago, apparently. I don't know if I necessarily would say that dating is valid. Like, it just seems too long ago. Because my interpretation, I haven't looked at any of it, but I've already, like, come to a pretty strong conclusion that it happened. Like, people were not here until after the flood happened. That's my interpretation. The reason being is where it is. So I was immediately like, where is this place? Where is this place? So if we go here, go here, go here. It's at the tip of Australia here. Right there. Here's the coordinates. 12 minus 12, 17, 133.8. And if we go to this map, immediately I'm like, okay, here's that pointy one of, the pointy one, this section. Over here, the flat one. What's it called? Gabarnmung is over here somewhere along the boundary of this one. Okay. Let's check it out. Pointy one, flat one. Here's this ammonite structure here, extending out here even. Kind of like this. How there's a internal ammonite here, but it extends out beyond and like contains more material also. Similar thing going on here where there's an internal ammonite here that then has like additional parts like an ammonite. But then the ammonite is not like an actual ammonite that's, well, it is like an actual ammonite because they're all the same in terms of they're caused by currents, they're geological in origin, and they're not fossils of living creatures, but fossils of current flows, where three currents, like a flux capacitor, combine, pinch a location, and then it swirls in the location and creates basically a shell. Like this region and this region are very much like this, where it's got this outer ring and then an inner ring, and the current works its way into carving the center from being like a ring in this case. So in that case, it's kind of just a ring and then an outer edge. It's best to see my Earth undercurrents video, so maybe I'll just bring that up real quick to show what I'm talking about. It's like play. If we can find it. There it is. Okay, there's the ammonite. Here's the currents coming in under Australia and then producing here we go. A nucleus like in Washington area, maybe British Columbia, and then the shell, nucleus and shell. But in this case, the currents just kept coming and they began to really etch to the point where this one got through. When this one got through here, it swirled in here in the like interior of the shell and exterior of the nucleus, but then it just kept going until it got into the nucleus and decayed the nucleus, creating this ammonite shape. Well, okay. So, and that's also Hawaii getting pooped out. So, currents swirling into here. They're coming in this way. Swirling in to the center. Okay. Minus 1217, so that's fine, minus 12. Okay, minus 1217 is here in latitude. Longitude of 133.83. So basically, right there. Right there. On this last bit of this spiraling in nucleus. I don't think that's an accident that this place. Where did it go? This place. Oh, that's why it's over here. I'm like, what? This place is here. Like, these people got lost. They got swept away in the currents of a flood that literally deposited them at the center of this huge ammonite structure. Not like the actual like center like here though, but like the final nucleus mound deposited them there. And then they just set up shop. Probably waited out the storm, making paintings on the ceiling underneath some shelter that was etched for them, and then the currents, I guess, relieved enough for them to like habitate to make it their home. Habitation has been dated to at least 44,000 years ago, but that's really just purely based on the paintings and their ages. I wonder what methods I think it's all carbon based. I was thinking it's possible because it's literally the center of this ammonite structure that they experience so much like radioactive decay in this location that the dating is off from the time period of the Earth's expansion when they were like able to be deposited here. Like the things looked older for some reason, much more decayed than like other places on Earth, even where they're not 1-to-1. Like in my interpretation, I've just generally thought like carbon dating, all carbon dating is generally approximately the same, and we can reliably use it as relative dates. And maybe it's got like some widespread added time that's maybe a few thousands of years, maybe several thousands, but I hadn't really considered it serious. I mean, I'm aware of the potential that it could be very much more dependent on the circumstances locally than I'm aware of. And this might be an instance where because of this ammonite structure, with all the radioactive decay that the structure is literally undergoing, as it starts out as one system and it evolves to another in what essentially is a decay process. Like, it kind of makes sense that if anywhere on Earth there's anomalous decay during that time, especially like things that were made maybe early on enough. Okay, so that's my thoughts here. Without having looked at these paintings, at Gabon Mong. I would need to know which ones are the oldest. Like, that's probably not old. this, though. I can't believe they painted over old paintings. Like that one there, like what? Yeah, that's probably good enough. Like, no, we tried to leave the story. You guys don't know. Like this one, I'm like, maybe like they're trying to say like some shit was going on, where there's a bunch of just sexy times. It's sexy times. I would need almost to find a scholar paper. Gabarnmont. Visually rationalized, superimposed pigment motifs. Let's do the whole name even. What bird is that? Identifying a probable painting of a bird. Doesn't have the whole thing. It's 50 plus pages. Darn. Jumps right to page 73. $33. 45,000 to 52,000 years of site and landscape occupation. By Bruno David et al. In Elsevier. Quaternary Science Reviews. Let's see. Oh. Okay, whoa. Excavation. Note the fallen rocks against the square F pillar. F pillar. Okay. Radiocarbon dating. No intact hearths were identified, all dates sampled being individual pieces of charcoal. 43 pieces were AMS radiocarbon dated. From blah blah blah, 8 of these pieces were cut in half and individually dated twice. Hearths. Okay, so they're finding charcoal. Using charcoal to date. So it's charcoal fragments. Individual radiocarbon dated charcoal fragments. No in situ carbon was recovered. Blah, blah, blah. I don't really feel like reading all that, even though maybe it would be beneficial. ABA chemical pretreatment is widely used by radiocarbon dating laboratories for many organic sample types. Chemical concentrations, number of base treatments, temperature, and length of pretreatment will vary depending on the quantity and condition of the sample. Several studies have suggested that a pretreatment where the final acid wash is replaced with an acid oxidation step followed by a series of low temperature combustions to remove more labile contaminants liable to change, easily altered. Okay, so removing contaminants by methods, talking about the methods, talking about quality. HEPI appears to isolate highly consistent condensed aromatic fraction in a range of samples that differs from blah blah blah. Hydrogen pyrolysis offers advantages as a C14 pretreatment, as it is possible to effectively degrade compound classes routinely targeted for removal without unnecessary loss of the original charcoal. Okay, whatever. So they're dating charcoal. Although maybe I should be paying more attention, given that I really don't think that the results are valid. Not that they're invalid, I just think that it's in such an anomalous circumstance that it's it really might need to account for some other things. I don't know how. Like, I'm thinking maybe the wood they're burning that they're getting this charcoal from was also caught in the eddy and experienced a lot of like intense things in the environment it was in that literally caused the carbon to decay within the wood, so that when they burned it, the carbon had a different composition or ratio than it would typically. Something of that nature could be going on. If they're using charcoal that they're finding from like them burning things. Sonicated and dropped. Okay. All these are just straight up the method, I guess. Age. Oh my god. That's a lot. But notice this huge gap. Huge gap. What's going on in that gap? I would say this is when it like it's almost too recent to be when it's stabilized. Maybe they, I don't know, just didn't use charcoal for a time. Like, these are all near each other, and then boop, boop. I know the error bars are pretty big. Crayon. Thinning plays with bending, initiations, Did they not call these arrows? How do they not call these two arrowheads? I think that's both sides of the one thing. This is both sides of that one, it looks like. Yeah. How do they not call that an arrowhead? Figure 14. From period 1. Phase 2. Add Mad Jed Baby. Mad Jed. What in the... Oh, another one. Also, TLH. 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 I don't know, something. TL, thermoluminescence. Grounded by numerous researchers. Okay, where's this one? Let's compare it. 1230. Let's pull it out here. Let's find it. 12 minus 12.5. So it's around here. Minus 12.5. 132.88. 132.88. Over here. Also at the center. I mean, like if a current's coming in here. Turns in. Turns in, goes around the boundary, exits if it can, but continues up this way. And finishes maybe actually like the thinnest center point there. Or is it here? I might be trying to encourage things over here. Where'd that place go? Mad Jad, what did I call it? Oh yeah, again, I did literally the same thing. Okay, let's go. Images. What the? This reminds me of the images where they hold the handbag in one hand and then the other arm upward, like handbag of the gods. Let's say, I'm not sure if that's its name. One arm down, one arm up. Like that seems to be standard practice, even in this one too. Down, up. This one's opposite, up, down. Although he's sitting. This one doesn't have an upward or lifted arm. Let's see, down, up, 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 down, up. No handbag, a little different. Seems to have a hat. Like, what in the... Bro. Teeth. What the hell? Like, what is this? Rainbow serpent in Aboriginal art. Not even the same one. Painting of the rainbow serpent. No, I probably should have started another video for this. I guess I'll just read one of these. Not explaining that one. Flickr, Pinterest. Pinterest sometimes says things. Alpa. Ancient land with vastness that conveys a sense of the pervasive power of the elements in time. You could venture to say ancient landscapes of Australia have aged gracefully. Despite the ravages of time, there remains a vitality and defiance in the features of the land, highlighted by the ubiquitous, bold ochre colors and slashes of vivid hues from the wildflowers, and also reflected in the expansive, smooth surfaces of the eroded. Okay. Whatever this thing is. Clay art. Maybe it'll say here. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Serpent. Whoa. Huge rainbow. Down into the sandstone overhang. Mount Mord. I just wonder if it's depicting like a current flow, basically, with these, especially with the little dots down the middle. Let's look over at this. It's really not like this one. I guess it kind of has little dots down the middle, but I don't know if it's any different than anywhere else. Like over here. So I guess there's not really dots, maybe kind of, but they're not so in a line. And then it also had like bars across. It doesn't really have that feature. I was thinking over here maybe it would, but I don't really see it here even. And I can't think of, this one doesn't really have that center current the same way. Although, I've been coming across the concept that these lakes are like dug into, like deep. Like this ain't just hanging out here. This thing is deep. Let's see. Columbia Lake depth charts, maybe something. British Columbia images. Is that the same lake? This one. Oh yeah, it's not that it's deep, it's that it's gouged deep and then filled with like large pebbles. It made me think of like a mold for a shark tooth, honestly. Just a sudden spike down into these things that then have literally a cross section of a shark tooth. Where like across many of them it's like many teeth. So maybe like because this one's water based, this one's magma based in a way. Maybe more like land material based flows, where this one's just like etching water that's causing it. So maybe the water, instead of producing like things that are, oops, like these dots can either go up as mounds or they can go down as depressions depending on what's causing them. So water would cause like depressions every so often along the spine channel because of buildups of pressure that then lead to it like carving down, I guess. Just until it can break through, like it carves down as much as it can because it can't move forward, and then at some point it carves down as much as it can, so like the easier path to carve is actually forward again, so it ends up carving forward again, and then it just repeats the cycle where it gets somewhere where it can't really move forward, so all it can do is etch space in the region it's in, which is down, but then it fills that space with basically enough of a back pressure down there to then force the current repetitively into the next tooth carving. So maybe there are like teeth in a way down here too. I don't know if I've seen any teeth. Let's again check out this area. I'm gonna call it after this. I'll be done here. Maybe. I guess maybe. Okay. That's all I got for now, I guess. I guess. This is cool that there's another place. This whole region must have other things. Alright, just making sure there's nothing else. Alright, see you guys later.